Good evening, Fix It fans. Now I'm just doing a little video tonight to show you what will soon be coming to the channel, because my missus has kindly just bought me this little Rogers amplifier and it does need repairing because it's another one that apparently when you turn it on it doesn't power up or do anything, so it is totally dead. And it does look like it's got a few problems with it. I shall show you the problems in a bit more detail in a minute. So she's bought me this and I unwrapped it about half an hour ago, and it came with that other two presents I've got there. She bought them, which by the look of them, I do think they are a set of speakers. There is nothing else they can be. So she bought me them, but this Rogers amp came with them. So that is why she has got the Rogers amp. She's bought me a set of, I'm going to say speakers, because they are speakers, aren't they? But I haven't got a clue what type of speakers they are, because as you can see, I've not unwrapped them yet. I haven't even felt the weight of them or anything like that, because they was very sneaky. They kicked me out of the room, so they asked me to go and make some sandwiches. So I went out to the kitchen, made everyone a nice sandwich, and then when I come back into the room, they'd moved stuff around a little bit, and them two presents were sitting on the table. And as I walked into the room, they both shouted, "Surprise!" So back to the Rogers. As you can see, this is a Rogers Ravenbrook, and this amplifier was made in the UK by the Rogers company, and my missus got it with them two speakers that are wrapped up there. So she bought them speakers, and apparently this Rogers sort of came free with them speakers, or was included with the speakers. So I have spoke to her about it, because she went and collected this lot. It was not posted. She bought this local and went and collected it. And the person she got it off said that this Rogers amplifier has not worked for years. And apparently no one has ever looked at it or tried to fix it. So there could be something simple wrong with this, or something a bit more serious. And as you can see there, look, it looks like the faceplate is bent. It does look like that plate is bent a little bit, the way it is pulling away from that corner. So I do think that this poor little Rogers might have been dropped on its face at some point, because it feels like it's got some more problems that might have been caused by it being dropped. So you can see the air vent on the top of it, that is very bent up, but hopefully that will straighten up all right. So let's have a look at the front on the Rogers. These buttons all feel nice, they feel like they are all working correctly. So there doesn't feel like there is nothing wrong with that lot of buttons. They feel a little bit stiff, but you'd expect that if this thing hasn't been used for a long time. So the filter button feels like it's working properly. The volume pot feels really nice. Can't feel nothing wrong with that. Feels good. But this slope one, I don't know if the camera can pick that up. It feels really bent. Like that pot is really bent. And sort of that is what makes me think it might have been dropped on its face, because this slope pot is bent and so is one of the others. So the bass one feels alright. Again, it just feels a bit stiff, like it hasn't been used for a long time, but it wouldn't have been if it hasn't worked for years. But this treble one, I'll get the camera right in there, see if it can pick it up. Again, this treble pot, it feels bent. As I'm moving it round, you can feel it going up and down where it feels like that pot is bent. So that is why I think this might have been dropped on its front, because it's got a bent faceplate and 2 bent pots. The on-off switch feels fine, and so does this balance pot. The balance pot feels nice, and that one is to turn the headphone socket on and off, and that feels good as well. So it does look all complete, this amplifier, apart from the little gold cap that would have gone on the volume knob. That is missing, but apart from that, it does look complete. Obviously, I've not had the top off of it yet. I've not looked inside it to know if it is complete or not. But I think it might be, because it feels quite heavy, like it's got all its parts in there. It definitely feels like it's got a transformer in there, quite a big transformer, because it is pretty heavy on one side, this amplifier. And I have had one of these Rogers Ravenbrook amplifiers before, and I did like it. For like an old amplifier, it did have a pretty decent sound to it, and it did have a load of bass on it, and it was really good bass as well, and it had a pretty nice top end on it as well, or at least I thought it did at the time. So when I first had my old one and started playing around with it, I was quite impressed with the little Rogers Ravenbrook, and I did think that my one sounded about as good as one of these little Rogers could sound. But I soon found out that that wasn't the case, and mine didn't sound as good as these Rogers can sound. So I sold my old one probably only about a year ago, maybe not even that long. I sold it, and I got rid of it because I found out that my friend Clive had one of these little Rogers amplifiers. So one night I took mine round there, took it round to Clive's house for the Battle of the Rogers. It's something me and him have always done, 'cause he buys a load of amplifiers and things and repairs them. So if we ever end up with the same amplifier or speakers at the same time, I will always take mine round Clive's and we will battle them out to see whose one sounds the best. So on this night, it was the turn of the Rogers, and I really did think mine sounded pretty good. So I thought, mine's going to beat Clive's. This sounds really nice for an old amplifier. But when I took mine round there, to my surprise, his one definitely sounded better than my one. Now, if I remember rightly, it wasn't in the bass, they was quite equal, but his one definitely had a much better top end on it than my one did. So I sold my one, and it wasn't that there was nothing wrong with my one. You just get that with these old amplifiers and that. Some of them just sound better than others, and in that battle, Clive's little Rogers did sound better than mine. So hopefully, if I can get this one working, it might sound as nice as Clive's one, and then I can take it round now and we can have the rematch battle of the Rogers. Here, mate, hold the camera and I shall turn it round and we'll have a look at the back. And you'll see as I turn it round, this Rogers, it is all DIN connectors on the back of this one. And you'll see as well, it has only got a really short little power lead on it, so that has been cut down for some reason, because that would have been longer than that. And I would say that is not the original lead, because as this thing is from the 60s, it would have had a red and black and earth, not brown and blue and earth. So that lead has been changed at some point for a later one. Them there, they are the disc sensitivity. So you sort of change them depending on what turntable and cartridge you are using. So you can set it up to match your turntable and your cartridge. And it will only take one set of speakers, this one. It's got the voltage selector, so you can change the voltage depending on what country you live in. Here in the UK we use 240, so that is what it is set on. And you can see what I mean there, they are the wrong colours for a 60s lead, so that has been changed. Because it is from the 1960s, this little Rogers. I think this is from about 1967 or 1968, if I remember rightly. And I think it's about 12 or 15 watts per channel. I might be wrong on that. I haven't looked nothing up about it yet, but I think from memory it is about 12 or 15 watts per channel. It's not a really powerful little amplifier. Yeah, mate, take the camera again. I'll turn it back round. And don't think that because I've just said this Rogers is only 12 or 15 watts, that it is not very powerful, because it will be plenty loud enough for most people. It really will. Like that Pioneer that he's sitting on, that SX434, that is only 15 watts per channel, and let me tell you, that Pioneer is really loud. And for those of you who follow the channel and you watched it when I repaired that Pioneer, I've been using it a lot since then, and it really is working well now, this little Pioneer. It works excellent, and I do really like it. It has got something special about it, this little Pioneer. And I hope my new speakers have got something special about them, because they must be speakers wrapped up in there, and I'm not sure if they are working speakers or not working speakers that need repair. Now, I don't know that. Even if they are working, they will probably go on the channel and I will give them a good service before I use them, especially if they are vintage speakers, because they might be old speakers, innit? If they came with this Rogers amplifier, the chances are they are a nice old set of speakers. They might even be a set of Rogers speakers if the person had all matching equipment. No, she's shaking her head at me. They are not a set of Rogers speakers. Because that probably is what Rogers are most famous for. They are most famous for the speakers they have made, because they have made some fantastic speakers that are really sought after by collectors and people in the know. And I would say their most famous speaker, it has to be the LS35A, the little speaker that they made for the BBC. Now, I've had a couple of sets of them before. I've had a set made by Rogers and a set made by Audiomaster, and they are really good speakers. They're a fantastic little set of speakers, but they make really, really big money now. But the Rogers amplifiers and receivers, not so much. So I would say that these old Rogers amps and that are a little bit underrated, because they do not make the big money like the speakers do. The odd one of them does. There is a few models of Rogers amplifiers that are really sought after and make the big money, but most of them don't. When they do sound pretty good, so for the money you can buy these old Rogers amps for, they are good value for money, because if you get one that is working properly, it really will be a nice sounding little amplifier. Because like Rogers as a company, they always took time and a bit of care in whatever they produced. So they never just like slapped something together that sounded rubbish and then sold it like a lot of companies did back in the 60s. Rogers didn't do that. Everything they built had a bit of time and effort put into it. So in the second-hand market, I would say a lot of this Rogers stuff is quite good value for money. And also, there is a lot of this stuff out there. In the 60s and 70s, this stuff sold in big numbers. So there is some right bargains to be had out there. Not in the buy it now, but in the real world prices. Some of this Rogers stuff is a right good little bargain. Not like the speakers anymore. The speakers, they are worth the money, but they are no longer bargains because the word is out about how good they are and everybody wants them. And some of their speakers are still pretty cheap, but they are not the great ones. So next time you see my little Rogers amplifier, it will be back on the channel where I'll be opening it up and trying to find out what is wrong with it. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.